Mario, guess who's back in the MLB?
Tell me.
The kid, Ken Griffey Jr. That's right. He is back in the MLB, not as a player, though. He will serve as a senior advisor to the MLB commissioner, Rob Manfred. This is a pretty cool one, actually.
Yeah,
His
he's not back as a kid no more neither.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
like,
And we still call him the kid, though.
yeah,
Anyway,
true.
his role will focus on consulting with MLB regarding the baseball operations, youth baseball development, and the improvement of diversity at amateur levels of baseball, so like race and all that type of thing. Um, he'll also serve as an ambassador for baseball during MLB's youth baseball initiatives, like the play ball program and all of that. And major events like the All Star Game and the postseason. And this was written by June Lee of ESPN. Mario, let me take the throne on this one. First of all, congratulations to Ken Griffey Jr. I did not expect him to come back to baseball as working with the front office for the league itself. I personally think he'll do good with his job. Obviously, this is his first time working as a front office executive. He's not doing it for a team; he's doing it for the entire league. So there's more responsibility to that. Um, and I like how they picked Ken Griffey Jr. We all know Ken Griffey Jr. He's over 600 career home runs, 630 to be exact. He puts on a really damn good show on the field, in events like the home run derby, the All-Star game, and just his entire career was one hell of a show, and I truly appreciate it. So I'm very glad that they actually chose Ken Griffey Jr. to be an ambassador for events like the All-Star game, the World Series, the postseason, and for youth baseball initiatives. That's another thing that's really cool. He's going to be a part of those youth baseball programs and developments the MLB has created. Um, and the improvement of diversity, like race and all that type of stuff. I'm pretty sure there's more to it than just that, but you get my point. What really intrigued me is that he'll also be focusing on the baseball operations part of it. Now obviously that brings me a question, how good is he gonna do? Because I know for a fact Ken Griffey Jr. puts one hell of a product on the field, but again, we all say there's a difference between being a player and being a front office executive. So maybe his success on the field can translate to him being successful as a MLB officer for like all the major events and all that. Um, I obviously, of course, question how he's going to do with the baseball operations type stuff. That's a very big deal, especially when you're doing it for the entire league, not just for one team. That's a big responsibility to hold. Um, but other than that, I think Ken Griffey Jr. is very well fit for this job. I think he'll bring a lot of inspiration to the youth. It'll attract a lot more younger kids to play the game of baseball. Because let's be honest, even if you're not a baseball fan, everybody knows who Ken Griffey Jr. is. We all know the kid Ken Griffey Jr. That's bro. He brought a lot to the game of baseball. We all know who he is. Um, so he's gonna like him being a part of that youth program and all these other big things. It's gonna attract a lot more people because, like I said, a lot of people know who Ken Griffey Jr. is. You don't have to be a baseball fan to know who he is. Um, so with that said, I think Ken Griffey Jr. do a really great job. I think he'll attract a lot more attention to the game of baseball. I congratulate him, and I'm excited to see how this goes for him.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations to Ken Griffey Jr. on being the new senior advisor for the MLB commissioner. I hate to say in the as much as we love MLB, it's kind of taken a little bit of a decline, and
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm expecting Ken Griffey Jr. to kind of help them raise those ratings. Obviously, there's only so much he can do. Now, going to his career, we obviously remember so many things about Ken Griffey Jr. One, I think him and his father had to be like one of the first guys to actually play on the same team as father and son.
I think they're also the only two to ever hit a home run in the same game.
Right. So then you got that. We remember the backwards hat and how he in the home run derby and how he just won it with a backwards hat. I mean that we and then not even that. He's like one of the first baseball players like to probably have their own sneaker.
Yeah, I think he is.
Right. So first of all, Ken Griffey Jr. He's not just a Hall of Fame baseball player. He's culture. He,
He's a
he is
G.
he is the MLB culture. Like simple as that. So many players looked up to Ken Griffey Jr. who are playing baseball right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's clear to see it. So I mean, but here's the thing: a lot of legends. Here's the true legends in the sport and outside the sport can be as good as their second act as they were in their first. For instance, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was a great basketball player, one of the greatest of all time, one of the greatest basketball players to play the game. He retires from basketball, ends up doing some great things outside the sport. Now let's go to Ken Griffey Jr. Great baseball player. We named we named the accolades that he has accomplished. So now you had a great career inside the sport. Outside the sport, what will your legacy be? And this is
Right.
where it starts right here, where you being the advisor for the MLB commissioner. I expect Ken Griffey Jr. to do a great job. I mean, I know so many athletes who respect Ken Griffey Jr. So many athletes who don't even play baseball who looked up to Ken Griffey Jr. because Ken Griffey Jr. He was a culture change. That's what he was.
He
You
he
know what
was
I'm
a
saying?
culture change not only to baseball but to celebrities. Like his
Right.
name's mentioned a lot of the old school rap music and even rap music now. You
Right.
know,
And I mean, like when I look at Ken Griffey of baseball, I compare Ken Griffey of baseball to the Allen Iverson of like NBA.
right.
At the time, you didn't see players with like cornrows, and like Allen Iverson was like the first guy to actually like open it up to the NBA. And now you see a bunch of NBA players, a lot of NBA players are tatted up. A lot of them wear their hair the way they want to. They wear the flashy shoes. A lot of that started with AI. Same thing with Ken Griffey Jr. A lot of these baseball players you see who started doing batting practice with their hat backwards, a lot of them got it from Ken Griffey. A lot of baseball players who are looking to get their own shoe deal get it from Ken Griffey. So, I mean, you look at Ken Griffey, he's been a huge trailblazer for MLB as regarding culture. So now, what's your legacy as an advisor? Because let me tell you something. We call him the kid, but Ken Griffey Jr. ain't the kid no more. He's not the kid no more, man. Dude's almost 50. So, with that being said, I mean, I wish him the best of luck in his senior advisor job. But again, I expect him to do as great as a job with this as he did with the MLB. The MLB wasn't a culture, what didn't really have that culture until Ken Griffey Jr. came. Now, what do I expect? The MLB isn't doing so good with ratings. When Ken Griffey Jr. steps in, I expect that to change drastically because it's Ken Griffey Jr. It's as simple as that. And there's only so much he can control, but I expect him to do a great job. And like you said, I completely agree. I think he will do a great job. I think this is a hit for the MLB. I think this is like the jackpot for the MLB. If you're going to sign a senior advisor, I think Ken Griffey might be the perfect guy. So with that being said, congratulations to Ken Griffey Jr. Congratulations to the MLB on signing Ken Griffey Jr. to the senior advisor role. And I'm curious to see how the MLB is going to improve from here.